are back. I'm Tomeka Jones, and you're watching Flawless Conversations on NowMedia Television. Are you ready? Let's go.
Welcome back to Flawless Conversations. I'm here with Dr. Donte Vaughn, and in this segment, we're talking about personal growth, promotions, new responsibilities, and bigger stages that bring excitement, but they also can feel very, very heavy. Dr. Dante, as a leader, we both know that these new roles comes with pressure, right? It comes with pressure, and without the right habits, right, leaders risk drowning in doubt instead of rising in their true full potential. How do you guide leaders to grow into their next level without drowning in this thing called doubt?
So typically, I always start with a reflection and documentation of what the leader believes has contributed to their success thus far. Oftentimes, when leaders are transitioning to these new levels of role and responsibility or potential impact to the organization, they lose sight of the past because they're focused on the trajectory ahead. There's something, there are actions, there are habits, there are behaviors that led you to this opportunity that you've pursued now, right? There are things that you've done. Now, it doesn't mean you stay there because oftentimes the measure of your success has shifted now that you've taken on this new role of responsibility. But let's start foundationally there because you don't want to give up the things fundamentally that have led to your success, be it the cadences that you've established in your life, the habits you have around communication or engagement or decision making. Those things become fundamental. Now, from there, having as clear of a picture around what your new or evolved measure of success is in your role becomes essential, because if you understand it, then you can start to understand, well, where are the gaps in my current behaviors or habits and what I'll need to take on to drive my success. And it begins with a conversation both with your senior leaders, those who you report to, and at whatever level, and your subordinates in terms of understanding, as your leader, how can I show up and help you become as successful as you can? Because all of that feedback will start to help you shape, okay, well, my subordinates are looking for a certain measure or a frequency of communication one on one. Okay, so if I don't have a habit of scheduling bi-weekly or monthly one on ones with my team, I better have that as a new cadence around my communication. For example, my executive leaders may expect something of me that looks different now in terms of how I share my progress or how I track progress. All these things start to inform new behaviors or habits. You don't have to play the guessing game. Seek to understand perceptions around success at both levels, and also examine what has led you to be successful and what you may need to shift or fill the void in order to thrive in this new capacity.
Yes, 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 yes. And you know what? Sometimes I have to remind myself and also my clients as well that God has already created the perfect you, right? Our job, your job, is to allow God's power, right, to reside within us to remove that fear, right? Because we're not broken, right? We don't need to be fixed, right? Because whatever is in us is already in us, right? We just have to activate it, right?
Yeah, I think well said. We closer we get in alignment to God's purpose for our existence, the less barriers are actually barriers. They simply become stepping stones
Mm,
to get us even further to where we need to be relative to the impact that we're meant to have, because we are vessels and we are um, mechanisms for impact, right? We're our, it's like a tree that bears fruit is not for the sake of the tree.
mm.
Our fruits, our gifts, they're not meant for us. So therefore, our capacity to show up in this new level in our lives, it was destined that way. We simply have to get enough out of our heads and out of our own way to allow that fruit to bear and to allow those to have access to it.
Right. And not just to piggyback on what you just said. and not activating these fruits or letting these fruits produce, right, is a form of being selfish, right? Right? Because we don't need to have all these fruits to ourselves, right? God put it in us to give it, to push it out to those who need
Yeah,
it. Right?
yeah, no doubt.
Ooh, love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. What is one daily habit that keeps leaders grounded while they're learning something new?
Well, well, it's interesting because you said while they're learning something new. I,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think I'll take a step back for a second to simply to say the mindset of being a perpetual student, open to learning, open to, right, because I think oftentimes that as we pursue these next levels of leadership, we believe we have to know it all or that we know it all. And that's when we have to always, at every transitional level, we're always a student to the next level.
Mm,
We're a student to those who we are equipped to lead. I always
yes.
say the greatest leaders is because they were phenomenal followers. And even though you're in a leadership capacity, you're trying to follow in order to understand. We go back to servant leadership. I can't serve you if I don't know what your needs are.
Ah,
I have to have this pursuit of knowing. And then there's going to be things that you require from a servitude standpoint that I may not have all the right answers for. So I have to be open to either acquiring the information or knowledge to serve, or have the humility to point you to where you need to be
absolutely.
served.
Absolutely.
And so that student mindset becomes essential. And if we remind ourselves, and you'll hear individuals say like, I always learn something new.
Mm-hmm.
It's I want to, my greatest impact is because I'm open to learning. Right?
Yes.
And as long as I keep that mindset of learning and being a student, we're a student our entire life. We're refinement through this cleansing and sanctification process. Right. So it's perpetual. So let's lean into the student mindset, because that we all, as we elevate, we're still students.
Yes.
That's how you become term. I have a doctorate. That's considered a terminal degree. The concept of terminal, it's at its finite. But it's never really finite. When we look at our life in general, it's not finite until we're terminal, until we're dead. So it's a learning process until it's done. So our lives are students are in the entire time.
Absolutely. I agree. So, Dr. Dante, if our viewers want to dive deeper into your work and leadership and also culture, where can they find you online?
Any major social platform, you'll be able to Google drdantevaughn.com, or you can visit my website, lightpointadvisors.com. That's where, I have the pleasure of leading a leadership and organizational development practice where we serve other organizations, both at the executive all the way to the frontline leadership level, helping them learn how to be more effective leaders or operators of their business, how they engage, how they interact, how they make decisions every day that helps them realize their organizational purpose, mission, vision, right? So visit us there. You can check us out on LinkedIn, any major platform, you'll be able to reach out and let's connect. Let's have a conversation.
Yes. So, Flawless family, don't go anywhere. And when we return, we'll close this powerful session with a powerful conversation around leadership, courage, and leading even when you feel alone in this journey. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back to remind you that healing is possible, confidence is yours, and that you are flawless. This is Flawless Conversations on Now Media Television.